Hello, Jingle Joe, getting very, very, very excited for Christmas. Can you hear me jingling? Jingle, 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 jingle. So, today's story is called The Happiest Man in the World, or The Mouse Who Made Christmas. And we are getting super Christmassy now with these stories. I love it. So let's find out who the happiest man in the world is. I think we already know. Mouse lived in a narrow house, crammed between a lot of other houses. She lived on her own, except for a few spiders and beetles. That's how she liked it. Mouse didn't like people. She didn't like anyone. Every day she helped herself to bread from the baker, pork pies from the butcher, and treats from the deli. Every night she had a feast. Sometimes the beetles would gather round and gaze at her with their strange beetle eyes. "Get lost," said Mouse. "Why should I give you anything?" Oh dear, she's a very grumpy mouse, isn't she? One autumn day, she came home with a choice slice of gorgonzola. That's a type of cheese, just in case you didn't know. I also love cheese. There was an old man with a suitcase in the hall. "Excuse me," said Mice, "but that's my house." "I'm pretty sure it's mine," said the old man, "because I've just bought it. But stay if you want. I don't care." He carried his suitcase into the front room and put it down. "Once upon a time, I was the happiest man in the world," he said. "Now look at me. He does look quite sad, doesn't he?" Everything about the old man was dismal and grey. "Give, give, give," he sighed. "That's all I've ever done. But I can't see the point anymore." "That's because there is no point," said the mouse, who had never given anybody anything in her life. And then she thought, "At least now there's a human in the house, I won't have to go into the cold. I'll just help myself to whatever's in the fridge." Isn't she cheeky? But the old man never went out of the house. He didn't unpack his suitcase. He just sat by the window and stared. Oh, I feel sad for this old man. Winter came and there was nothing to look at but grey streets, bare trees, and a sky that glowed with snow. "Don't you ever eat?" asked Mouse. "I'm too sad to eat," said the old man, and took his to bed. "Please get up," said Mouse. "I can't," said the old man. "I think my heart is broken." "Oh, please," thought Mouse. "I'm so sick of hearing this." Living with the old man was like living under a gloomy grey cloud. Mouse was thinking this one day as she sneaked around the deli, and right at this moment she spotted a clementine, bright and orange and filled with good cheer. Here's the clementines down here. "That clementine is just what I need to cheer myself up," thought Mouse. And then she thought, maybe it's just what I need to cheer up the sad old man who's making me miserable. So she carried the clementine home and gave it to the old man, who was still lying in bed. "Is that for me?" he whispered, as if he could hardly believe someone might give him a present. "Yes," said Mouse, and the old man's ears turned pink. He took the clementine and he ate it, and he said, "Thank you." Well, that's a bit better, thought Mouse. The next day there was frost on the windows, and the old man still wouldn't get out of bed. But that afternoon, when Mouse was sneaking around the baker's shop, she spotted a mince pie. I love mince pies too. It was so fat and fruity, bursting at the seams like generosity itself, that Mouse decided to take it home for the old man. "Is that for me?" he asked. "Yes," said Mouse, and the tip of the old man's nose turned pink with pleasure. He took the mince pie and he ate it. He almost smiled when he said thank you. Now that, thought Mouse, is a great deal better. The next day the sky was as blue as only a blue sky can be. As for the world, it had turned white, but the old man wouldn't even get out of bed to look out the window. When the mouse went outside, she slithered in the snow and scrabbled on the ice, and on the tip of her nose turned blue with cold. By the time she reached the butcher's, the shop was closed. She had to sneak under the door. Mouse couldn't believe it. Everything had been sold. There was nothing on the shelves but useless old tinsel. She stared at the tinsel for a long time, and at last she saw that it was full of shimmers and surprises, just like Christmas. "I brought you a present to brighten the room," said Mouse. "Is it Christmas?" asked the old man, and he looked more miserable than ever. "It's Christmas Eve," said the Mouse, "but I'm giving you your present now." "A Christmas present?" asked the old man. "For me?" He took the tinsel and wrapped it round his head like a crown. "Thank you," he said, and he smiled. Mouse was so pleased that she danced across the coverlet and clapped her hands. "I made you smile," she crowed. By now the old man's face was so pink that his beard looked quite white. "It's a wonderful feeling when you make someone smile," he said. "It's the best feeling in the world, don't you think?" "Of course it is," said Mouse, who could see that now. "Of course it is," exclaimed the old man. "How could I have forgotten?" He leapt out of bed, opened his suitcase and put on his clothes. It was like pulling a cracker when he whistled for his reindeer, and like fireworks and rockets when the reindeer arrived. Safe in his pocket, Mouse saw everything. She saw prancing hooves on a snow-covered roof. She saw shimmers and snowdrifts. She saw sackloads of gifts, and then she was flying high in the sky, and the stars looked like snowflakes, the snowflakes like stars. She could hear people singing and far-off bells ringing, but the best of it was when she was delivering presents, sneaking down chimneys, stuffing stockings with toys. That was a joy. "I think I must be the happiest mouse in the world," said Mouse. The happiest man in the world just laughed. Well, that was lovely. The mouse, who started off so grumpy and miserable, managed to cheer up Father Christmas enough so that he could do his job and he could deliver all the presents that he has to deliver on Christmas night. So it's getting very, very exciting. I'm a little bit cold too. So I think I'm going to go for my warm drink before I tuck up nice and cozy in bed. So from Jingle Joe, the dancing and story reading elf, I'll see you soon.